All right, again, ladies and gentlemen, there's information going around indicating about on college campuses where young people are getting together, having chats, and they're talking about their love for dictators, Hitler, people of this caliber, and talking down people in America, and you know who they are. And this is all a result of the lifestyle that we as human beings have experienced. So, really, when we look at all that stuff, it is despicable and it's sickening. But every last bit of it is taught. It is taught by we the people. It is taught by we the people who do not have decency within ourselves. That's just part of it. The other part of it, people who claim to have decency but can sit back and allow stuff like this to happen. And obviously those who would cause it to happen anyway. But when you look at it from that angle, what I see, and I'm sure if you did, you'd see it as well, is that all of the people play a role in the problem. And we try to separate ourselves from the role that we play as being not so significant in the outcome. But without your role, that thing wouldn't happen the way it's happening. So without any of those, it wouldn't happen at all. And neither of you got any solution that would resolve any of the problems. So it makes it obvious that some people got, everybody got their reasons. But for me, I come to you and I talk to you about God. Why do I talk to you about God? Because I've had evidence of God's reality beyond the earth, beyond the resources, beyond the things that exist that we as human beings have played no part in. I That's enough for me to call it God, but then I give God credit for creating me and all that I am. I haven't always done this, just like you haven't, and most of us still don't. But what I want to say, the point that I want to make is this, is that you are who you are. If you think, if you're a Republican and you think that every time a Democrat opens their mouth, they're telling a lie, they're trying to exploit, they're trying to take advantage, they're trying to, then all of those despicable things. If you're a Republican and that's what you think about a Democrat, that that is a result of the experience of the people who think like that. But let's just flip the script. What if you're a Democrat and everything come out of the Republican's mouth is a flip and lie? You will not believe not one thing. So you get one half of the population wouldn't believe a thing the other population is saying and would do anything they could to bring it down. Flip side, both sides. Where do you expect to go? No place. No place. But there is a place that you could go because it was prepared to be successful. And that place comes from what most people, many people, not most, but many people want to deny God. They want to deny God. And when you want to deny God, the next thing you want to do is be God. And being God means to most people having the power. And mean having the power usually mean having what moves people. And that's the power to kill. Death. You got to definitely have death. In the world's point of view, you got to definitely have death. And then you got to have control over who got and who don't have. That's the world's way. You got to have those. On God's side, everybody got to win. No losers. No losers. On God's side, everybody got to win. No losers. And then you look at what do you have fighting for you? On the other side, you got people who don't care about God, so they can do anything, everything. Lie, cheat, steal, kill, hoop, do. You just hula hoop. On the thing that on the God side, but just be right, righteous, always righteous. You can't play with that stuff by like Machiavelli say, if it ain't gonna work for you, then don't use it. So if a lie is the thing that works, then use a lie. That's what they say. That's what they say on the other side. But on God's side, you can't do that. You can't do that. You got to stick to what's true because what's true works. You see the lying and cheating and stealing. And you've heard me say it 1,000 times. I'm not going to say it right now. All of that stuff is a result. Now, when we look, I know we always try to say, find some excuse, but just as if that Republican can't trust the Democrat can't trust the Republican, I want to add this because it seems like I might have been straying away from it. Is that those for God does not trust Republican or Democrat because they know they are both failures. Those with God know that Republicans and Democrats are both failures. None of them is trying to do what God wants. The Democrats are, in certain instances, are not as bad as Republicans as far as causing pain and suffering on other people. They don't eliminate it, but they're not as bad. In other things, it might differ, but neither one of them represent God. And you know what? Here's the thing that's sickening. Republicans don't represent God. They say they do, but they don't. Democrats don't represent God. They say they do, but they don't. And the church does not represent God. They say they do, but they don't. Even Christianity, as we know it in America, does not represent God. It says it does, but it doesn't. It doesn't. See, anything that represented God would be just as solid as the earth that you walk on. It would be just as liquid as the water you drink. And it'd be just as air as the air you breathe if it was from God. So what I'm saying is if you were treating people right, then there would be peace straight across the line. Be peace, no even ands about it. There'd be freedom right across the line. No even ands about it. That's if God was in it. Nah, everybody needs, wants, and desires in it. That's if God was in it. If God's not in it, that's not gonna happen. And that's not happening. So, you know, you watch my videos, I'm always trying to give you a positive tip. I'm always trying to lead you on up the ladder. But the truth of the matter, my friends, is we're down on the low rung of the ladder. But you are not forgotten. You are here giving information that in God's plan, as I get ready to zip out of here, every human being that's on this earth at the appropriate time engage themselves in a career, a job that they love. When I say at the appropriate time, babies can't do it. If you happen to be disabled, you can't do it. But as you know, in the Society of America today, and as far as medicine is concerned, and what the Republicans are doing, their lack of concern and compassion for people, it's causing hospitals to close, causing cost, all that other stuff. Just nothing good coming out of healthcare. Isn't that something? Nothing good. Republicans, look at that. Nothing good. But they say that the private industry is excited about it. I think because they know if the government is not going to be paying, somebody got to pay. And the hospitals are closed. You got to go to these guys out here who want to make sure they rip you off too. You see things with God. Everybody got a job. You're using what God has given to you free. Even your ability to engage in the things that you're doing, that comes from God. And with that, it allows you to do what you have to do to make sure that those things that you determine are absolutely essential for your fulfillment and satisfaction can be done. That means you make them in such a number that it's like breathing. It's like going to the store. You need food, go to the store. Get it. You don't need money. You go to the store because that's where it's kept. Anything, the stuff that you need, appliances, automobile, transportation, houses fixed, repaired, built, buildings, schools, all that stuff. This is it's set up proper through the system, but it doesn't cost you money. Why? Because it's your stuff. It is stuff that belongs to the people for the purpose for which it is used for. This is God has given this to you and given you the opportunity to choose a career that you love. So when you get the blessing of joy with it, it is money can't even equal. You take love and joy. What amount of money can equal what love, the combination of love and joy can do? Not getting no money to do that. Get no money to touch love and joy, baby. And then on top of that, you don't just have children. You have Medicare, medical facilities and care for people beyond your imagination, housing and all that stuff. Why? Because you're doing what God wants you to do. You're listening to the power that made you. You're not listening to people like Trump or Putin or these other folks, MAGA. You're not listening to that junk. No, but I call it junk. Hey, I'm not trying to put the people down. I'm not trying, and I want you to know it's the things that they do. All of that stuff is down. But I'm not trying to put the people down because most of us in America speak English. That is the language taught. Our character, what we see in the mirror, that's what we are taught, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want you try to tell yourself that you're not taught that, but you're a lie. You are taught that. This is who we are. So you can't say we're not. Now, if you don't like what you see, well, we can change that. But this is us. We wallowing in hell. That's what we doing. Tell the truth. All right, I'm gonna leave you alone for now. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.